Imagine being the star athlete of your school for 15 straight years.
Right, like totally untouchable.
Exactly. I mean, you win every single race, you break every record, and frankly, you feel invincible. The crowd expects you to win, and your competitors expect you to win.
Yeah, you're just at the top of your game.
But then suddenly, one season, you step onto the track and you can't even finish a single lap. You are gasping for air on the sidelines while the competition breezes right past you.
Wow, that would be completely devastating.
It would be. And that is exactly what just happened to one of the richest, most powerful countries on Earth, Germany. Welcome to the Missing Lessons, where we explain what school never did.
Understanding how a massive, incredibly complex economy like that suddenly stumbles is just fascinating.
It really is, because it's not just about global finance or abstract numbers. It is a direct warning about how quickly jobs, housing, and the cost of living can collapse when a successful system stubbornly refuses to adapt.
If you're enjoying the Missing Lessons, make sure to follow the podcast, leave a rating, and share it with someone who might find it interesting. It helps us create more episodes and reach more curious minds.
So to understand how this star athlete of a country collapsed, we first have to look at what they were using for fuel.
Right, the underlying energy.
Yeah. Between 2005 and 2019, Germany experienced what was widely known as a labor market miracle. They were the undisputed export kings of Europe.
Everywhere you looked, it was that Made in Germany label.
Exactly, on machinery, luxury vehicles, you name it. They built an absolute industrial juggernaut. But this incredible machine had a fatal vulnerability.
Which was?
It was almost entirely dependent on cheap natural gas coming from a single supplier. At its peak, a staggering 55% of their entire natural gas supply was piped in from just one source, which was Russia.
Wait, so they built their entire economic powerhouse on a single, vulnerable energy source and just didn't have a backup plan?
Pretty much. It's like building a massive, highly profitable delivery business, but relying entirely on one specific gas station down the street.
Right, because if that station closes, your trucks can't move, no matter how good your business model is.
Exactly. And it is crucial to understand that this gas wasn't just being used to keep people's living rooms warm. It was the fundamental raw material keeping heavy industry alive.
Like for chemical plants and manufacturing.
Yeah. Massive facilities. They literally use the molecules of the gas as a chemical feedstock to produce fertilizers and plastics. So when the geopolitical conflict in 2022 severed that specific supply line, the machines stalled out.
That is wild.
And to make matters worse, they had decided to phase out all of their domestic nuclear power plants. They shut the last ones down in 2023, right in the middle of this massive energy crisis.
Oh, wow. So they turned off their own backup power right as their main supply was cut off.
Yeah, they planned to transition to renewables like wind and solar, but they got totally bogged down by old-school bureaucracy. I mean, it takes years to get a permit for a single wind turbine over there.
So what happened to their energy prices?
They just skyrocketed. Prices spiked by 35%. Right now, German factories are paying up to 5 times more for electricity than competitors in the US or China.
Have you ever relied entirely on one person or one tool to get something done, only to have it disappear at the worst possible moment? It is a terrifying position, and it forces a complete reset.
It really does, and those high energy costs crippled factories. But Germany's biggest point of pride, the car industry, was already driving straight into a slow-moving technological disaster.
Because Germany basically invented the modern auto industry, right?
Yeah.
BMW, Volkswagen, Mercedes.
Exactly, but they got so comfortable with combustion engines that they were incredibly slow to pivot to electric vehicles, or EVs.
I mean, why could they just pivot? They have massive research departments.
It's an organizational culture issue. For a century, mechanical engineers ran the show. They viewed software as just a minor accessory for the radio. But an EV is fundamentally different. It's essentially a rolling computer.
Basically, their past success made them arrogant, and they assumed people would always want their cars, regardless of new technology.
Exactly. And while they stalled, leaner, faster innovating competitors from China and the US started eating their market share. On top of that, German labor costs are astronomical.
How high are we talking?
Well, they pay about 62 euros per hour for labor, compared to just 29 euros in Spain.
Wow, that is more than double.
Yeah. So imagine being a young, aspiring engineer. You study for years, dreaming of working at a legendary German car brand. You finally graduate, only to find out the company is closing plants and laying off workers because they just can't compete.
That is heartbreaking for the workforce.
It really is.
Yeah.
Since 2019, 46,000 jobs have been lost in the auto industry, and there is a potential for 186,000 more to disappear by 2035.
That is a massive hit. But a country doesn't just crumble from foreign competition and energy shocks alone, right?
No, you're right. The internal foundation of the country is cracking under the weight of a demographic time bomb.
What do you mean by that?
Well, it's the crushing burden of their welfare state. In 1962, there were 6 workers supporting every one retiree. That is a very light financial burden for each worker to carry.
Okay, that sounds pretty manageable.
It was. But today, because of an aging population and low birth rates, there are barely 2 workers for every retiree.
Oh, man. That sounds like a group dinner at a restaurant where the bill keeps getting passed to fewer and fewer people.
That is exactly what it's like. To pay for these massive pensions and healthcare costs, the government heavily taxes the shrinking young workforce. Today, Social Security contributions eat up 42.5% of payrolls.
Wait, what would you do if nearly half your paycheck vanished before you even saw it, just to support a system you might never even get to benefit from?
It completely drains the ambition out of a younger generation. Germany spends 31% of its GDP, which is about 1.3 trillion euros, just on social programs.
If you've ever felt frustrated by endless paperwork or taxes that feel unfair, drop a like and a comment on the video because it really is a universal struggle.
It really is. And at the same time, the country is drowning in old school bureaucracy. Let's say that young engineer wants to start their own tech company. It currently takes an average of 120 days just to get a basic business license.
4 months just for a license.
Yeah.
That is double the average of other developed nations.
Yeah, it completely suffocates new business. And all of these massive national issues, high costs, heavy taxes, the endless red tape, they trickle down to ruin the most basic human need.
Which is a place to live, right? The housing crisis.
Exactly. This is where it hits home. The economic crisis has created a severe housing shortage. The government promised to build 400,000 new homes a year, but they only managed around half of that.
Because the construction costs and interest rates are just too high.
Spot on. Builders literally can't afford to build. And the reality for students, single parents, and young workers is just bleak. Right now, 9.5 million people are living in cramped conditions.
That is a huge portion of the population.
Yeah, there is a shortage of 800,000 apartments. Finding a flat in a university town or a major city is practically impossible, and rent is skyrocketing.
If you can't afford rent and your taxes are high, how are young people supposed to build any kind of future?
They aren't. They are taking on debt just to survive, leaving them with zero disposable income.
This entire situation is incredibly sobering. It's a masterclass in what happens when a system stops adapting.
It really is. But these aren't just lessons for a country. They are vital missing lessons for your own life. We can look at this macroeconomic failure and use it to become more secure and resilient.
I love that. So how can a listener actually do that?
All right, advice number 1, diversify your energy.
Meaning, don't rely on a single source like Germany relied on one gas supplier.
Exactly. In your life, your energy is your income and your skill set. Don't rely on a single income stream or just one skill. Build side projects or learn secondary skills so you're not vulnerable.
That is super smart. What is the second piece of advice?
Number 2, don't be the legacy car maker.
So don't get arrogant about being good at the old way of doing things.
Right. When new technology like AI arrives, don't fight it just because you're comfortable. Learn to use it before it replaces you.
Which of these lessons do you find most convincing? Have you noticed yourself getting too comfortable in your own habits?
It's so easy to do. And the final piece of advice is to prepare for the demographic shift. You simply cannot rely on a government pension to take care of you in 40 years.
Right, because the math of the welfare state is breaking down globally, not just in Germany.
Exactly. You need to start learning about personal finance, investing, and saving right now. You have to take extreme ownership of your own safety net.
That is such crucial advice. Here's a question for you. Do you think an economy should prioritize taking care of its aging population or making things easier and cheaper for young workers and new businesses? Let us know your thoughts in the comments.
It is the defining debate of our era. To summarize the most important lessons we've covered in this deep dive, past success does not guarantee future survival. Adaptability is everything. and demographics dictate destiny.
Yeah, absolutely.
Perhaps the most dangerous thing that can happen to anyone, a person, a company, or a country, is 15 years of uninterrupted success. Because when you believe you're invincible, you stop preparing for the storm.
If you enjoyed this episode of The Missing Lessons, don't forget to follow the podcast, leave a rating, and share it with a friend. Your support helps us continue exploring the topics school never taught us.